Michael was my firstborn. I had 3 kids and Michael was first. He loved sports. That was his thing. That child was out shooting hoops. A huge Redskin fan, huge Duke fan. He called me and he told me that the cancer had come back and that it was attached to his lungs. His doctors told him he could no longer live alone, that it wasn't safe. At this point, he just wanted to enjoy the time that he had, and hospice really enabled him to do that. It was like the weight of the world was lifted from our shoulders. He had say. They sat down with him and said, "How do you want it to go, Michael?" And he actually, for the first time in this 4 years of battling cancer, got to say, "This is how I want to spend my last days." And he wanted to live every single moment of his life to the fullest. And hospice allowed him to do that. They knew what we were going through. And the comfort of having someone carry you through that, it's just indescribable.
Well, Mr. Gene is a true Southern gentleman. Yeah, it's true, it's true. He's smart as a whip. His memory goes all the way back to the beginning of time, I'm sure. So for me, I'm spending time really talking to a living history book. I've gone through the Depression with him, I've gone through World War II with him, learned about how to maximize the yield on a tobacco crop, learned a lot about electrical, which is helpful since I'm building a house. I do want to say, though, that at pool, I have beat him several times, but he's beat me twice. So
I didn't know I'd beat him but once.
No, it's twice, Mr. Gene. Even today, most people don't know all of the services that hospice provides to people that are in the need to have that service. They don't realize how hospice can come in and just totally help you cope with the difficult times at the end of life. Most of us that are volunteers with hospice got into that because of a personal experience with it ourselves. I saw it with my mother, and I saw what happened with hospice and how they supported us through that. I think people need to know that through hospice, they have a huge support mechanism. It takes a big burden off of you as a family member in dealing with these kinds of situations.
We were the house that all of my friends gathered at because my mom was so much fun. One of the greatest memories I have of my mom is her laughter and finding something to laugh about in almost any situation. She had emphysema, and that created all sorts of breathing problems, which resulted in physical limitations. Going from daughter to caregiver was a difficult process. One of the instances that I think of immediately with that is the first time I had to bathe my mom. She cried like a baby and said, "I never wanted you to have to do this." When you go from being the daughter to being almost a mother figure to your own mother and a caregiver, it's quite an adjustment. I had been taking care of Mom for so long, and I truly didn't think anybody could do it like I did. I was her daughter, I loved her. I was going to do the very best thing for her. I was exhausted. As a caregiver, you become exhausted and you don't know how exhausted you are until after you're not the caregiver. So her doctor told me, he said, "You can't continue this. I want to see if I can get her into the hospice care center." Oh my goodness. They cared for my mom so much better than I could. It was like a magical moment, just stepping across that threshold. And I knew we were in the right place. One of the things that happened with the hospice care was an education for me. I was an orphan, basically. I had lost all my other family members, and that brings on a whole set of emotions. So I took advantage of all the bereavement services that hospice offered, not only through the grieving process for my mother's death, who was a hospice patient, but helping me deal with some unresolved grief that I had just buried some of those feelings. So I was able to identify those feelings and deal with them so that I could be more mentally healthy. Hospice is about living, it's not about dying. And it truly is about living, because with hospice's help, they allowed those last days with my mom to be beautiful.
I think many people believe that hospice is a sure indication that you're dying at this moment, and the fact is, hospice is about living. It's about enjoying the last parts of your life, having quality in the last parts of your life.
If someone told me I had stage 4 cancer or whatever, and I might have 6 months to a year if I take this treatment or that treatment, I'm going to choose to live every moment the best I can. And if I can call someone like hospice and have them help me through that so I can enjoy my time, I can enjoy my family, I can leave them with good memories, I'm going that route.
They allowed me to go from caregiver back to being my mom's daughter again. Choose Lower Cape Fear Hospice.
Being a hospice volunteer has made me realize that every moment matters. Choose Lower Cape Fear Hospice.
I never knew what hospice was till I experienced it, and I wouldn't change a thing.